Guys, welcome to another episode of Cringeographic Disclosure. In the previous episode, I talked about the beef between Paul Saladino and Brian Johnson, and Paul Saladino is a fraud. He's a fraud. He's dangerous. He's bought and paid for by big food because nobody, not even the best doctors in the world, would ever tell you that adding a tub of lard and butter and raw milk to your diet is a good idea. Nobody. There's a reason why people are dairy intolerant, and there's a reason why people don't do that because of the potential of getting parasites, funguses, and bacteria and all kinds of weird stuff added into your gut. There's a reason why people slow cook their meats and animal products to get all the dangerous stuff out. And what this is big food investing in hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and stuff like that. And it's a disaster. Stay away from it. It's just as bad as any drug. Again, stay away from drugs as well, like coffee, even tea, whatever is jolting and beating on your nervous system. So does excessive sugar, too much salt, any of those things, right? If you are overwatered, oversalted, oversugared, overdrugged, it's always a bad thing. It's always a bad thing. And people are adding testosterone into their diet. They're adding a bunch of things. They're getting injections, whatever. Don't do any of that stuff. Your body doesn't need it. Just regulate your sleep. Make sure you do some, but not too much exercise. Again, it's a balance. It's a balance. You need to find a good balance for your life. Sleep enough hours, do some exercise, and don't put toxins into your diet. Like, what are they doing? They're telling you to add buckets of lard into your diet. Some people thrive on a life of excess. Others live on a life of restraint. But those who live the best or the longest attempt to combine restraint with moderation. And finding your balance is key because excess is only available to those who can afford it. Basically, if you want to be a big top dog bodybuilder, not only do you need to be 6 foot above to be able to like pull off that kind of look, but then you also have to be rich because if you want to be eating in excess, you need to be able to fill your fridge with all the excess food. So, you know, that maybe works for some people, but again, it could also cause a lot of issues in the long run. Not all of us are going to be as lucky as Michael Hearn. He does it in style. I mean, hats off to him. Sylvester Stallone as well. No surgeries, no heart surgery, and they look great. You know, they're in there Frank Zane, another guy. He's later on in his years with the bodybuilding thing, and he still looks amazing. You know, fully like muscular, can still do the weightlifting and all that stuff. Amazing, all these guys. But if you don't have the funds to eat that much calories at each meal, then you're not going to be able to be that kind of bodybuilder. So that's why I said for most people, looking like Tom Cruise, looking like Patrick Swayze, looking like Brian Johnson, that's definitely more something that you can do. So anyway, but be careful, as I say, and I always say this with people that come out here. This guy, what is it, John Blitch, whatever, I think that's his name anyway. This former nuclear officer, Green Beret, blah blah. I think he's been conned. I think he's had some really bad things happen to him. I believe he believes what he believes, and I'm not saying that he's not a credible witness, whatever, but his rhetoric is dangerous because it could send us towards a war against an unknown. And you never go to war against an unknown. You always gather intelligence before you start a war because when you venture into the unknown, you don't know what you don't know, and that's how you end in disaster and death and worse. So, no, no, we're not going to go down that path. That is dangerous, dangerous. So his story is a compelling story to scapegoat the galactics or potential breakaway civilization that's always been here on planet Earth, which has access to technology more powerful than ours. And that some of us, probably the worst of us, because they always end up in positions of power and with influence and all that stuff, have had access to this possibly at the time of the Nazis. And we have reverse engineered this technology. So now we have technology that allows us, not us, the good people, the bad people, to send signals into our brain and give us an example, basically an experience that is similar to what you would get when you put on a headset like Oculus Quest, but it's more real. And in this kind of simulation, whatever, the simulation itself, the signal that is being sent into our body, I'm not sure if it's a frequency, I'm not sure if it's radiation, whatever it is, creates damage to our body. So that's why after you have one of these experiences, you might have bruising, you might have burn marks, you might have strange red dots, whatever, in areas of your body. And I have experienced something like this, but I know that it's not what you guys think it is. And it's definitely not a breakaway species running experiments and stuff. But the experience is very real when you get one of these things. And because of the probably too many times that I've bumped my head as a kid, to me, the experience was different than what other people get because they get fully immersed in the thing, and I did not get the fully immersed thing. I only got to see a circle on the top of, whatever, on the top of the ceiling, in which I got to see some strange looking beings that some might say look like a mantid species, some might call them the Greys, whatever. It looked pretty much like all those images that you expect to see from those old movies and whatever that you see online. What does an alien look like? Yeah, exactly those things. And because those are the things that everybody is seeing with these alien abductions, whatever, then it makes it very plausible that that is a government scam, possibly led by something like a FBI, CIA, something like that organization. Again, I'm just throwing out these letters. It doesn't necessarily need to be them, but a black project that has been used to manipulate our society. Because what's better than manipulating a society without having to manipulate a society uh, through brainwashing directly or whatever? You just think, oh yeah, well, just blame it on the aliens, and then everything is hunky dory, right? So anyway, be very careful with this, especially if it leads to, let's start a war with something that we don't know. Don't do that, and stop it. The other thing that we really don't want is for us to make contact with this breakaway species, let's say with C5 or other methodologies, and then shoot down or spaceship jack, right? Like a carjacking their stuff. No, no, that's a bad idea. We want to communicate with the unknown, but we don't want to take it down and steal their things. No, that ends up poorly too. So anyway, guys, be careful with these guys. I understand. This guy is highly qualified and all that stuff, but he also could be highly manipulated by things, and I'm worried about that a lot because I know these technologies exist and they can be weaponized against us. So, with that, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Look at this. This is pretty cool. Sharks that fly, or a very good rap on a plane. Very cool. Take care, guys.